You're listening to the Dark Fantastic Network.
Discovering The Thing from Another World. The true sequel to John Carpenter's classic. Although John Carpenter's The Thing wasn't a critical or box office success when it first came out in 1982, over the decades, it has become a cult favorite, and has received reappraisal by mainstream critics. With its foreboding tone, startling and stylish visuals, deliberate pacing, and terrifying special effects, The Thing is now considered John Carpenter's greatest film. With its belated success on cable and home video, there has been talk of producing a sequel to The Thing since the 1990s, including Return of the Thing, a 4-hour miniseries, and a direct sequel to the Carpenter movie, for the Sci-Fi Network. It was to be produced by Frank Darabont, the acclaimed director of The Shawshank Redemption, and The Mist, and written by David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick, of the Conjuring franchise. But the project was shelved partly due to budget concerns, and Universal Pictures decided to go for a big-screen feature called The Thing, a 2011 prequel set at the Norwegian camp featured in John Carpenter's original. But before that, a sequel was made, taking place a mere 24 hours after the events of Carpenter's film. The Thing from Another World, written by Chuck Farrar, was released by Dark Horse Comics, and is, arguably, the only true sequel to John Carpenter's The Thing. The graphic novel begins after the destruction of the U.S. Outpost 31, where the events of the film took place, by the shape-shifting extraterrestrial creature. The only survivors are MacReady and Childs. MacReady is found and picked up by the crew of a Japanese whaling ship, and is held captive after a hysterical outburst. But soon after, he escapes, and tries to find out whether he is human, or just another version of the Thing. Farrar, a self-avowed student of Carpenter's original film, writes a tense story in a hard-boiled, straightforward style, that propels the reader headlong into a series of set pieces that never let up. He also ingeniously gets around the problem of dealing with the ending of Carpenter's original, which basically painted the story into a corner. On the Dark Fantastic podcast, Farrar had this to say about how he came on board the project.
What happened was Mike Richardson, who would later do some pretty good work, for example, The Mask, and a whole string of other movies. We ran into each other a couple times in Hollywood, and Mike was looking to develop a sequel to The Thing. And Mike and I got together, and this was sort of at the kind of the dawn of the graphic novel period. And as you pointed out about writers now and showrunners, it's always sort of been in graphic novels that the writer is tended to be called the creator, and you sort of get more jack, as it were, for doing this. And Mike asked me if I'd put together a graphic novel that dealt with a sequel to The Thing. And I said, God, I'd love to. And I went home and gave it some thought, and studied the film again, and looked at whatever threads were remaining, and put together the graphic novel, which was, as you know, it picked it up pretty much like, 4 or 5 hours after the end of the movie.
In the novel, Farrar slowly reveals what happened to MacReady and Childs, and introduces a new complication that could have apocalyptic consequences. The Thing from Another World is a dream come true for fans of Carpenter's original. It picks up right after the events of the film, the characters remain true to their portrayals in the original, and Farrar's tone and style capture, to a large extent, the mood of the original. The only caveat is that the headlong pace and grim tone leave little room for character development, as this is pure story, with no real revelations about the main players. But this too, it could be argued, follows Carpenter's original approach, which stuck to basic survival psychology, rather than delve deep into the minds of its characters. With great artwork by John B. Higgins, The Thing from Another World is a treat for fans of the original, and it serves as a worthy sequel to Carpenter's film. According to Farrer, there was some talk of turning the graphic novel into a movie.
I did hear later that John Carpenter really liked it, and we did try to get it going in Hollywood, but I think Universal, they kind of, I don't know why, they didn't really rise to the occasion. I didn't even get a chance to adapt it as a screenplay, but the movie that you would have gotten if you read those graphic novels, that's the movie you would have gotten. And it was one of those missed opportunities, because I just would have been as delighted as possible to work with John, because he's one of the greats. He's one of the greats.
Carpenter himself has endorsed the graphic novel on many occasions, to the extent that, according to him, if he ever got a chance to make a sequel to The Thing, he would closely follow Farrer's story.